Okay, so I remember this one Sunday. Woke up at 11, ate whatever, watched stuff for hours, didn't reply to anyone, did zero things. By 8 p.m. I was exhausted, irritable, and genuinely sad for no reason. And I just sat there thinking, what is wrong with me? I didn't move, I didn't stress, I didn't do anything that should have drained me. But I felt completely empty. Like the day had taken something from me, instead of giving anything back. Turns out, nothing was wrong with me, but something was very wrong with how I understood rest. And I think a lot of people are feeling this exact thing right now, maybe even today. Maybe that's literally why you clicked on this. So let me tell you what's actually happening, because once you understand it, everything makes sense. Okay, so first thing, your brain is not a battery. We treat it like one. Run it all day, rest it at night, wake up recharged. Simple, clean, makes sense. Except it's completely wrong. Your brain is actually more like a muscle. And muscles don't recover by doing nothing. They recover by being used properly and then resting from that use. A muscle that never gets challenged doesn't stay fresh and ready. It weakens, gets stiff, starts to ache. Your brain does something similar when you give it absolutely nothing. No problems to solve, no conversations to have, no goals, no meaning. It doesn't go into peaceful standby mode. It switches to something called the default mode network, which sounds very scientific, but basically just means your brain's idle setting. And that idle setting? It is not calm. It is not a blank, peaceful screen. It's your brain replaying every worry you have, revisiting old regrets, catastrophizing about things that haven't even happened yet, comparing you to other people, looping the same anxious, pointless thoughts on repeat. That's the program your brain runs when you give it nothing real to focus on. So that lazy Sunday you thought was rest, your brain spent the entire day running its most exhausting program in the background, and you felt it by evening, heavy, foggy, drained, without even knowing why. But there's something else happening on top of that, something even more draining: guilt. Not the loud, obvious kind where you're like, ugh, I should be working. A quieter kind. A background hum that runs all day without you fully registering it. Even when you consciously decide to rest, even when you genuinely tell yourself you deserve this day, there's a whisper underneath that never switches off. You're wasting time. Other people are doing things right now. You should be further along than this. You don't fully hear it, but you feel it. And that quiet guilt is exhausting in a way that's completely invisible. It doesn't feel like stress. It doesn't feel like anything specific. It just sits on your chest like a weight you can't explain. So now you have two things running simultaneously on your supposed rest day. Your brain spinning on its anxious default loop, and a guilt you can't name making everything feel heavier and slower. No wonder you're wrecked by 9 p.m. You weren't resting. You were doing the most invisible, unproductive, exhausting kind of suffering, with snacks. Here's the part that actually got me. Think about a day when you were genuinely busy, not overwhelmed, not stressed, just engaged, moving from one thing to the next, solving something, creating something, being useful to someone. By the end of that day, yes, you're physically tired. Your body wants to stop. But underneath the tiredness, there's something that feels almost good. A quiet satisfaction, a sense of, okay, I was here today. I did things. The day had a shape. Psychologists call this eudaimonic well-being, which basically means the deep satisfaction that comes from using yourself fully, from doing things that feel meaningful and real. Because here's what most people don't realize. Humans are not wired to just survive. We're wired to contribute, to build, to connect, to create. These aren't luxury activities reserved for motivated people. They are basic psychological needs, as real and as necessary as food and sleep. So when you have a day of genuine engagement, your brain files it as a good day, a day that counted. But a day of nothing? Your brain quietly files it as lost, wasted, gone. And that filing happens whether you consciously agree with it or not. Your brain keeps score, and nothing scores very low. So does this mean you should never have a slow day? Never rest? Always be doing something productive? No. That's the completely wrong takeaway. The real point is much simpler than that. There is a massive difference between rest and emptiness. Real rest is not the absence of doing things. Real rest is doing things that genuinely restore you. Things that fill you back up instead of quietly hollowing you out. A walk with no destination. That's rest. A real conversation with someone you actually enjoy. That's rest. Cooking slowly with music playing. Reading something that pulls you in. Moving your body even for 20 minutes. Sitting somewhere and actually being present in it. Not half there and half on your phone. These things restore you because they engage you gently. They give your brain something quiet and real to hold on to instead of leaving it to generate its own chaos. But 5 hours of scrolling? That's your brain consuming without ever feeling satisfied. Like eating junk food all day and wondering why you're still hungry. You kept putting things in, but nothing actually fed you. Lying in bed, doing nothing but drifting through your own thoughts and guilt? That's not rest either. That's just suffering in a horizontal position. The exhaustion from doing nothing isn't a character flaw. It isn't laziness. It's your brain and your body both sending you the same signal. This is not what we needed. So the next time you have a lazy day, and by evening you feel hollow and heavy and weirdly sad for no reason, don't call yourself lazy. Don't think something is broken in you. Just understand what actually happened. Your brain was left alone with itself. No anchor, no purpose, nothing real to hold on to. And it did what brains always do in that situation. It turned inward and burned through everything you had on loops that led absolutely nowhere. You weren't resting, you were just absent from your own life for a day. And real rest, the kind that actually leaves you feeling lighter, it doesn't look like doing nothing. It looks like doing the small, quiet human things. A walk, a conversation, something made with your hands, something that reminds your brain, hey, you're still here. You still exist in the world, not just inside your own head. That's all it takes. Not productivity, not a perfect schedule, just something real, even something small, even just one thing.